there, I'm Allison, and those of you who know me may know that Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is one of my favorite movies of all time, tied only with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. When Scott Pilgrim came out, I saw it in theaters, and when I was sitting there watching it on the big screen, I was just stunned. Every line, every scene, every joke. I had never felt like a movie was made for me, and specifically for me. I saw that movie 5 times in theaters, and it was in different theaters in different states because I was traveling at the time. Last year, for my 30th birthday, my husband rented half a bar and a projector, and we watched Scott Pilgrim vs. the World to celebrate my 30th birthday, and also so that I wouldn't have to be the center of attention the whole party. I love this movie, and I want to talk to you about the ending we saw in theaters and the alternative ending, which was actually the original ending that you can see on the DVD. So if you haven't seen the movie, this is your spoiler warning. We're going to talk about the ending. So, spoilers! At the end of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Ramona starts to walk away from Scott and Knives after the final climactic battle. And Knives encourages Scott to follow her. She sees that he clearly wants to, and says, "I'm too cool for you anyway." Then he takes Ramona's hand and follows her through the magical door into the unknown. What you might not know is that that is not the original ending. The original ending follows a similar arc, but instead of going with Ramona, Scott and Ramona exchange glances, and he walks away with Knives because supposedly she is the better choice for him. Like many Hollywood endings, the original ending had test audiences, and test audiences hated this ending, apparently, and it wasn't satisfying. So they reshot it, and we got the ending that ended up in theaters. Not only is the final ending what makes the most sense for all the characters involved, but it also benefits all the characters involved the most, which is really what I wanted as a movie viewer. Scott. Scott is a broken person. He's a taker who has lived off all of his friends' goodwill since his breakup with Envy, and all of his connections are frankly sick of it. He gets kicked out of his shared apartment by Wallace, probably after being kicked out of his parents' house, which is only across the street. He has a drinking problem, which is referenced a few times in the film. He keeps talking about it in the past tense, but it clearly isn't. Knives really only likes him because of his hipster rock band coolness. Even before Envy, Scott didn't seem like a very good person, as his sister rails into him in the movie. The way he treated Kim and other girls in the past was horrible, and generally due to his thoughtlessness. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is the story of Scott realizing he's been a horrible person to all the people who actually care about him. And on top of that, that he needs to change. And he doesn't know how to do that, but he, through this movie, realizes that that is where he is. Ramona has gone through a similar change in her recent past. She says, "I've dabbled in being a bitch," and that's not who she wants to be anymore. She's also broken. She has something that Scott doesn't, though: resolve and willpower. Ramona is a strong person. She saw that she was in a bad situation, being controlled and manipulated in ways that she didn't understand, and she fled. She also realized that she was being a terrible person and needed to change. Running away was a part of that, but she also owns up to it several times in the movie when she's talking with Scott, and occasionally to the crowds who witness the destruction of an ex. While she seems to have accepted these things about herself, her interactions with Scott are the first time she has actually opened up to anybody about it, which is also a sign of her own strength and growth. What I'm saying is Ramona's my hero. But why are her and Scott a better ending than Scott and Knives? These are two broken people who have been through similar situations. They have an emotional honesty with each other that they don't show with any other characters in this movie. Sure, Scott is honest with everyone in the end, but that's more about tying up loose ends and resolving old conflicts, not so much about emotional honesty in the moment that he struggles with. Both Scott and Ramona are healing and on looking at a bumpy road ahead, trying to find out who they are and where they belong in the world, because frankly, they don't know. They have a connection and an understanding that will help them get through that together. Even if their relationship doesn't last forever, they need each other to get through this, and that friendship and that love that they have. Knives, on the other hand, is a fairly well-adjusted young woman who just found out about good punk and rock music. She's also a minor still in school when they start dating, just saying. Being with Scott introduced her to a whole new world of people and music and opportunities that she didn't even know existed, and she's very excited about that outside of knowing Scott and being in love with Scott. So she definitely got something out of their relationship just besides a little heartache. At the end of the film, she is absolutely right when she said that I'm too cool for you anyway. If Scott stayed with her, he would probably only hold her back as he tried to find his place in the world and potentially have to hide his own feelings and thoughts because he never exhibited that same emotional honesty with Knives that he does with Ramona. He would also likely be staying in the same town with the same connections that have gotten him stuck in this rut. He doesn't need to stay in Toronto. Ramona was a part of that exit. Also briefly, there were plans for a third ending called the serial killer ending that has Scott wake up from a dream, and it turns out he has actually gruesomely murdered 7 people and only dreamed the video game overlay. That might have made a fun DVD extra, but as like the actual ending to the movie, I would have been so mad if that was how it ended. That would have sucked, and I am thankful the final cut was not that. Thanks for running out of time to film that, folks. So it would have been cool to see that on the DVD. Those are the reasons that the final cut ending of Scott Pilgrim is better than the original ending. But that's just my opinion. I would like to know what you think. Do you like the final cut ending? Have you seen the alternative cut? That was the original. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And if you prefer the serial killer ending that never was, I don't know what to say to you. Thanks for watching. My name's Allison. This has been my vlog, and I will see you next time.